with maybe categorized sort of the NASCAR slide where the...
That's too busy.
That's too busy.
That's too busy. I would literally, I mean...
Pick five big ones.
Pick 5 big ones or five...
Say defense, you know, Honeywell, Rockwell, and then...
Right.
Yeah.
One from each
and many
column.
others, right.
Yeah, pick something in each column that you can talk about. 5 or 6 max in different industries, I would say, is a good way to show the breadth of what you do. Because that just, people will just kind of, their eyes will glaze over with that.
The market size is a problematic area, and I'll explain why. I mean, of course, it's a trick question. The reason it's a trick question because if I said it's $1 billion market, then you say, well,
who's buying?
Who owns it?
Right.
Who are the big players? Well, right now we think it's a $50 million market, and the reason it's not $1 billion market is that the existing products were simply not good enough. I mean, how many people would have a Netflix subscription if all you had is a 1-inch black and white television at home? If the display is not good enough, then the content doesn't matter. We think we're bringing the display that becomes good enough, so we have a big role to play in growing the market, and you can see some of these larger deployments. I mean, if Cubic is saying we'll buy $5 million worth of stuff from you, and this telecom provider, the next step is about $1 million and so on, then there are early signs that something's happening.
Yeah, well, I think in talking about, you know, how big is the market, I know it's hard for you to kind of put a dollar quantification on it, but I think if you can talk about the role of virtuality, the role of the I can't say this thing this morning, virtual reality is growing, and this is, because as the technology gets better, this is all these things that it can now be used for. People can kind of visualize the market a little bit that way, even if you can't get dollars on it. And kind of tying into that, you were talking about the field of vision of, you know, 60 to 120 degrees. I don't know if there's a way that you can kind of show what the 60-degree view of vision is and versus the 120, so people can graphically see how much better it is.
Yeah. I mean, 2 years ago, and I could do that at Grubstake as well. 2 years ago, I made the front page above the fold of the Washington Post. There was a business plan competition, and I brought from home 2 toilet paper rolls. And on the stage, did like this and said, using our competitor's product is like looking at the world through toilet paper rolls. And, you know, next thing I know, my friends are calling me, is that you on the cover of the Post?
Right.
But that was a way to illustrate the deficiencies of the competition as opposed to, oh, now I can see.
And that goes.
That's pretty good method.
That's a pretty good method, and that goes to both. Ours is so much better, and now that you aren't looking through the toilet paper rolls and you're looking at this, this is why it's suddenly applicable in all these different areas, and the size of the market's grown. I mean, it kind of gets to both points at the same time, I think.
I love visuals. I wear funny hats. I mean,
he has more very funny hats. Yeah. I speak from experience, having had him stash them under the podium when I was getting up there.
So I can bring toilet paper rolls.
Yeah.
My daughter wakes up one day and says, what
Where's
happened
the
to the inside? What happened to the inside of the roll? I only. What you do now? Did you have another presentation? Right.
I think you can get at the size of the market, and I'm listening carefully. It's a very interesting point in that the addressable market continues to grow as the technology improves. Be that as it may, what you're really forecasting when you forecast addressable market is you say, I'm going to sell 10 million, and the total sales on that particular year will be 20, i.e. I'll have half the market, or whatever it is. So I think you take a stab at it and put a timeline and say, we think in 5 years the market will have grown to. So I get some, but again, I like the point made earlier this morning about addressable market versus it's $1 billion market means nothing to me. Right. If you say, well, we really think that there'll be $400 million worth of sales broken into half a dozen competitors, I get some sort of gut sense as to what